Welcome back to the Deep Dive. If you're here, you're looking for a solid understanding of, well, probably the biggest shift happening right now in how companies think about growing their leaders. And based on the sources you've given us, that disruption is all about AI-powered personalization. The industry is calling it adaptive learning. So our mission today, let's cut straight through the buzzwords. We want to show you how this tech is actually tackling a core problem in corporate training. And that problem, the research makes it pretty clear, doesn't it? Most leadership programs, they're just generic, static playbooks. They assume everyone needs the same stuff on the same schedule, like clockwork. But leaders don't grow on a calendar. They evolve in context, right? Facing real challenges, unique ones, minute by minute. That annual training session, it feels totally disconnected.
Exactly. It's a fundamental mismatch. And adaptive learning, it's really the answer to that mismatch. But it's important to be clear here. This isn't just, faster e-learning, not just clicking through slides quicker. It's about using data, deep data analytics, to build a really precise, constantly evolving picture of an individual leader. It's understanding how that specific person learns best, figuring out what skill they need right now, and even knowing when they're actually ready for that next challenge. Psychologically ready, practically ready.
Okay, so if the old way taught the lesson, this new way, the adaptive model,
Yeah.
it's teaching the leader, that the core idea?
That's it, precisely.
That feels like the real shift we need to dig into today. How the AI is learning the person, not just the material, creating these unique paths that hopefully actually get results. Okay, let's unpack this. How does it actually work? The mechanics. Because if the system is learning the leader, that sounds like it needs a ton of input. What kind of data are we talking about? What's the AI actually looking at?
Yeah, it's pulling from, well, think of it as the leader's digital footprint at work. It starts with feedback data, sure, 360s, peer reviews, manager input, the usual suspects. But then it goes deeper. It tracks engagement patterns within the learning system. Where do they pause? What do they skip? Which simulations cause trouble? Which ones do they retry? And crucially, it layers on hard performance metrics. Sales numbers, project deadlines met, team performance data, even things like team turnover rates are getting pulled in now.
Wow, okay,
Yeah.
that's a lot of data streams. But thinking about the feedback specifically, the 360s and reviews, that stuff can be pretty subjective, right? Even biased sometimes. How does the AI handle that? How does it turn potentially fuzzy opinion-based input into something objective, something it can act on?
That's where the sophistication really comes in. The AI doesn't just read the text of the feedback. It correlates the language, the sentiment, the tone in that subjective feedback with the hard objective performance outcomes. It's looking for patterns. So for example, if maybe 3 different colleagues use phrases like unclear direction or needs more transparency, the AI doesn't just flag it. It checks if that language correlates with, say, a dip in that team's project clarity scores or maybe slower project conclusion times. And by constantly cross-referencing all these different data points, subjective feedback, engagement data, hard metrics, it gets incredibly good at predicting leadership gaps, often before they turn into real problems.
Predicting gaps, like what kind of gaps?
Well, the sources specifically mention 3 big ones the AI is getting good at forecasting. First, deficits in empathy. Second, a lack of clarity in communication. And maybe the most critical one right now, given the focus on retention, is predicting a drop in what they call retention awareness. Basically, leaders failing to see or act on the things causing their best people to think about leaving.
Okay, so the system spots a potential issue brewing. Yeah. Say a communication gap. It doesn't just file it away for the yearly review.
No, absolutely not. That's the adaptive part, right? It intervenes, often immediately, but it doesn't just assign some generic, mandatory 2-hour workshop.
Right.
It tailors the response instantly. So for that communication gap, it might push a quick 5-minute microlearning video on active listening right before that leader's scheduled one-on-one meeting. Or maybe it serves up a more complex simulation, letting them practice a difficult conversation, like, say, salary negotiation. It could even be a real-time coaching prompt popping up, suggesting specific, maybe more empathetic phrasing to use during a live conflict resolution discussion.
So the intervention is matched not just to the gap, but to the context of the moment.
Exactly. The key takeaway for you, the listener, is that the learning path isn't this fixed linear thing anymore. It's dynamic. It's unique to each leader. And it responds constantly to their actual behavior, their immediate needs, and importantly, the weaknesses the data predicts they might face next week or next month.
That level of personalization sounds incredibly powerful, conceptually brilliant. But, the big question with any corporate learning tech is always, does it scale? Can this really work for massive global companies with tens or hundreds of thousands of employees? And here's where it gets really interesting. because the research gives us some pretty compelling real-world proof. It's not just theory anymore.
Yeah, the sources point directly to IBM and their Watson Orchestrate system. I mean, think about the scale here. They're using this to personalize leadership development for over 280,000 employees.
280,000, that's huge.
It's not some small pilot program, right? This is core infrastructure for them. And the key thing is, it completely scraps that old check-the-box training mentality. It's constantly reading performance data, assigning these dynamic learning paths that shift as the leader's role and challenges shift.
And the results they reported are pretty staggering, actually. They saw a 45% increase in the completion rate of assigned leadership learning paths.
45%. Just getting people to finish assigned training is a huge hurdle. It's enormous. In the old world, even mandatory stuff often just sits there untouched. Getting nearly half more people to actually complete it shows the content must have felt relevant, directly useful.
Yeah, that 45% isn't just about ticking boxes. It feels like it reflects real engagement. People finished it because they felt it addressed a real current need.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just completion. They also measured knowledge application or skill retention. The data showed a 37% improvement there.
So it sticks better, too.
Right. If the learning sticks, it strongly suggests the intervention, the timing, the content, it was right on target, delivered when it mattered most. But maybe the number that really jumps out, especially from a business perspective, is the 30% faster time to competence.
30% faster?
Yeah, think about what that actually means for the business. It's speeding up how quickly leaders become fully effective in their roles. So a leader who might have previously taken, say, 18 months to really get up to speed on essential skills is now hitting that level in maybe 12 or 13 months. That's a direct impact on productivity, on team stability, on everything.
That really sums it up, doesn't it? This is personalization that works at serious scale. Yes, it's powered by complex AI and data crunching, but its success comes down to how well it actually targets the human side of growth, getting the right support to the right person at exactly the right moment.
Precisely. It connects the tech back to the individual's real-world experience.
Okay, so that's the impact on individual leaders. But let's shift gears and look forward a bit. What happens if you apply this kind of predictive power, not just to fixing individual skill gaps, but to understanding and maybe even shaping the entire culture and future health of an organization? This seems to be where the vision gets really ambitious. The sources highlighted work being done by Quota Pro leadership. They're building something called North Star AI. And the focus there seems broader than just individual training, right? It's about leadership and culture, about predicting organizational health.
That's exactly right. North Star AI represents a significant step beyond just addressing discrete skills. Like, can someone manage a budget or give a good presentation? The ambition here is to actively monitor and manage the overall health of the organizational culture itself using prediction. We're starting to talk about measuring things that, frankly, used to be considered too soft, too fuzzy to quantify reliably.
Like what kind of soft metrics?
Well, imagine a system that's analyzing patterns maybe across communication logs, engagement surveys, team feedback channels, and it can detect when, say, a group of your remote leaders is starting to show signs of losing their sense of belonging.
Wow, predicting belonging.
Or another example, maybe it detects that overall clarity within teams is starting to degrade. Not because of one big announcement, but because of subtle, maybe negative communication patterns emerging among certain managers over time.
And the most powerful part, potentially, is that the system aims to pinpoint which specific, tiny leadership behaviors, maybe even the exact words used in a daily stand-up, are statistically most likely to impact employee retention 6 months from now.
Yeah, that's a massive leap from just offering remedial training after someone has already quit.
Definitely.
It really shifts the whole paradigm. From being reactive, fixing weaknesses after they cause damage, to being predictive and proactive, trying to head off cultural issues before they even fully form. And this loops right back to that fundamental difference we talked about earlier. Adaptive learning means the AI learns the leader, their context, their impact, not just the generic lesson.
Can you give us a concrete example? How would that play out differently? Let's say there's a communication gap identified. What's the old way versus, say, the North Star AI way?
Sure. Okay, so the old generic system might say, flag for communication gap. Please complete Module 3 on effective communication. Right. The intervention is the same for everyone, regardless of the root cause or the impact.
Standard procedure.
Right. Now, the North Star AI approach is different. It might say something like, okay, your team's last 3 pulse surveys show a 15% drop in the clarity of direction score. Our AI correlates this specific dip with the tone detected in your weekly email summaries sent after 4 p.m. on Fridays.
That's specific.
Potentially, yes, and it might continue. Historically, this pattern precedes a measurable increase in voluntary employee churn within your department in the following quarter. So then, the intervention isn't read Chapter 3. It might be a targeted simulation specifically modeling how to restructure those Friday email summaries, perhaps even suggesting alternative phrasing known to boost clarity scores based on wider company data.
Okay, so the leader gets coaching tailored not just to the skill of communication, but to their specific behavior and its predicted impact on tangible organizational outcomes like retention and clarity.
Exactly. That's the adaptive intelligence learning the leader in their context.
That difference feels huge. It suggests a massive change in how companies should even think about investing in their people.
Right.
We're really moving away from just having these big passive content libraries, aren't we? Stuff that just sits there waiting.
We really are. The sources talk about moving towards dynamic leadership ecosystems. Think about the contrast, the old way. Those static programs maybe rolled out once a year. You just kind of hoped the skills would somehow stick. It was, batch and blast.
Fingers crossed.
Pretty much. The new approach. It's this self-evolving journey. Customized, refined, constantly, powered by that real-time flow of data about performance, behavior, context.
So we're shifting from, frankly, guessing what leaders need based on maybe an annual review and some intuition,
Right, educated guesses at best.
to actually knowing it with increasing precision, using that blend of hard data, maybe AI-driven insights into human interaction, like that tone analysis and this adaptive intelligence capability.
And the ultimate outcome, the really critical consequence of all this, the next generation of leadership development won't just be about measuring if a leader has a skill today. It will be about anticipating their growth needs, their potential friction points, and crucially, their likely impact on the organization tomorrow. It flips the entire focus.
From reaction to anticipation.
Exactly. Proactive development, not reactive training.
That's a profound shift for anyone in L&D, HR, or frankly, any leader wanting to be more effective. So what does this all mean for you listening in? We've walked through the evidence showing this move away from generic playbooks towards these unique data-fueled leadership paths. And those IBM numbers really anchor it, don't they? That 45% jump in learning completion, the 30% faster time to competence, that's not trivial.
Not at all. And the core idea for you to take away is this shift in mindset. It's about using data not just to look back and correct mistakes, that's old school training. It's about using data to look forward, to anticipate needs before they become crises. It fundamentally changes professional growth from, sometimes feeling like a chore.
To being this proactive, strategic imperative driven by systems that genuinely understand the context of leadership.
And that really leaves us with a provocative thought to mull over, doesn't it? If AI systems, like the vision for North Star, can get good at anticipating something as traditionally soft and human as when a leader might be losing their sense of belonging, what other crucial and tangible aspects of leadership, things like trust, maybe authenticity, or sustaining team motivation long-term, what else might these data-driven systems be able to forecast next? How does that power of anticipation change how you should think about your own growth or how you develop others? Something to consider.